Okay, everyone, one of the most interesting characters to watch in Avengers Infinity War was Star-Lord, Peter Quill, a.k.a. Guardians Chris. We're going to be touching on a plot point in the movie here. So, again, spoiler warning, go watch the movie. Great, you're back. Okay, in Avengers Infinity War, really the thrilling fight sequence for me showed the Avengers come closer than ever to actually getting the best of Thanos. On Titan, Iron Man, Spider-Man, Doctor Strange, Star-Lord, Drax, Mantis, and Nebula combine their strengths to restrain Thanos, trapping him in a near comatose state as Iron Man and Spider-Man try to pull off the Infinity Gauntlet from his hand. And Spider-Man comes agonizingly close. We see that thing wriggle and slide.
By the way, we see it's the size of entirety of Peter Parker.
Yeah, pulling this big garbage can size thing off his hand. At this same moment, Star-Lord realizes what Thanos did to acquire the Soul Stone, sacrifice Gamora. Peter Quill loses it, and he attacks Thanos, breaking him out of that restraint, allowing him to fight back each of the Avengers, and then Thanos throws a moon at them, and he overwhelms Stark, and he gets the Time Stone, and then he pieces out back to Earth, where he uses that Time Stone to reverse Scarlet Witch, destroying Vision's Mind Stone. Had he not gotten Time Stone, he never would have gotten the Mind Stone. He never would have gotten all 6. His master plan would have been foiled. So this brings up the question, guys, is this all Star-Lord's fault? Arguably, if Star-Lord kept his cool and stomached his grief, they could have gotten the gauntlet and Thanos would have been finished. Star-Lord and the other unlucky half of the universe would still be here. I don't know, guys. How much do you think Star-Lord is to blame? Is this impulsive anguish over Gamora worth his mistake?
It's 100% his fault. Completely, entirely. There's no doubt about the fact that this moment is his fault, that they lose that moment. Mm-hmm. That moment is his fault. But I'll say that in all of the possibilities of what could have happened that Doctor Strange perceived, if it's over 14 million, he had to absolutely gain the Time Stone in this moment. We see it again shown when he trades Stark's life for it. I feel like this is actually Doctor Strange allowing certain things to happen. We need him to hold on to the gauntlet, and he needs to leave here with the Time Stone. It's the only of the versions that it will possibly happen. This is the only one where we will eventually win, even though we'll lose right now.
So do you think that Doctor Strange knew that and did not share the entire thing because he knew Star-Lord was going to react that way?
I think so. I think
there's no way they could have told the team, it's like, you're going to try real hard, but then Star-Lord's going to mess it up for all of us.
Especially if it involves Star-Lord eventually being one of the people to fade away.
Right. And I think that answer comes also in that moment where Tony's like, what? You let me live? Like, we're not even
We all kind of felt that way a little bit.
Yeah, right? Because didn't it feel like for a second it's like, that didn't feel earned. It didn't feel like, but he's now my best friend, so we don't trade lives or something. It didn't feel like that in that moment. It's because Doctor Strange is playing four-dimensional Tess. You got no Tess, right?
Oh, yeah, we know
she's
Tess.
great.
Yeah. Well, when you play her, you're real ahead of the game. But you know what I mean?
Yeah,
he's totally on another level, and he's allowing events to take place, including letting him mess things up in that moment.
For me, I didn't think that specific part was planned. I think this was a genuine mistake that does actually, you do bring up a good point. If you saw 14 million outcomes, there's not one where Star-Lord freaked out that he found out his girlfriend got killed by her dad. But from the way I interpret it, watching it, now you bring up a good point, but after I saw the movie, I thought that, honestly, this was just an outcome he hadn't seen just yet. And Star-Lord freaking out did ruin the one way they could have gotten out of this. And in all the futures he saw that Tony Stark might be the only one that could, he could be one of the only people to figure out how to undo this. Mm-hmm. So that's why he's like, we can't let him die because he's one of our only hopes.
Yeah,
one of my only hopes.
Super fascinating possibility, and it's really answered by your belief of your own answer here to the question, did he mean there's one time where we win this thing now, or on the other side of half the people vanishing, and we win at the end of Infinity War 2?
I think he was looking at immediate. It's kind of hard to look at already when he said 14 million, you're like, way too many. You looked at way too many futures. That they just picked a big number, the writers did, and I feel like it was more immediate. But you do bring up a good point. So it just depends.
It's interesting. How much do you want to consider Doctor Strange to be omniscient and a god in this movie? As the screenwriter and the director of the movie, you're kind of the god. You decide who comes in when and how these events unfold. And I was thinking about this, like, oh, why have Nebula come back in? Oh, they needed Nebula to be in the scene in this moment so that she could confirm that Gamora died, because she was part of that conversation earlier. But if the screenwriter knew that, like, I have a feeling Strange would know that as well. He knew that Nebula needed to crash her ship into Titan in this moment and help them restrain Thanos for a moment. But he also knew that that would involve her sharing that information with Star-Lord, and that could cause chaos. I think that vision, I think it's very possible that that Doctor Strange saw in this one timeline in the future where things work, Nebula and Tony Stark. I think the way the screenwriters pared things down to just have the essential members of the MCU there in that final battle, I think that's what Strange saw as well. We're only going to have the people who survive who need to be there to actually take Thanos down in the end.
Right.
It's an interesting thing to think
but
about.
I'm not going to let you off the hook of what you said. If he's omniscient, if the Eye of Agamotto gives him the ability to see all eventualities.
Yeah.
But if he's, again, like Nicolas Cage in the movie Next, and he can only see just a few minutes ahead, and he saw 14 million in a
there's
few minutes.
the twist of Next. He can see further.
I think no matter what, we could argue that from Star-Lord's point of view, a very selfish move, especially since he had several scenes with Gamora where he was arguing on whether or not he would kill her. He pulled the trigger. Unfortunately, Bubbles came out in a very cartoonish, hilarious way. He was totally ready to kill her, and it seems like he should have already detached himself, at least on a slight emotional level, so that when he's confronted with saving half the known universe, he can at least hold that back before taking a swing at the guy.
Maybe. I kind of agree. Yes, it is his fault. I do agree, because actually, just when you think about it, it's like, 100% it's his fault. But also, I do like the perspective of, like, no, the end game. When he mentions this is the end game now, it's that this is the last. You have to complete what's going to happen next. I gave you everything that you can possibly know and have in your arsenal, and you can do this.
Yeah.
So I do think your theory is more correct.
We can also chalk this up to, like, in war, just things happen. Nothing should ever go to plan, right? It's a little bit more interesting to see. It's way more interesting, I would say, to see Peter Quill screw up this plan, because then the movie ends.
Well, and we're not talking about did he trip on a rock and then, like, whoops, and then set off a nuke or something.
Into a cake.
He did something that his character chose to do, or maybe didn't even choose to do, because of the thing most important to him in the world was gone, or in the universe really was gone. So he doesn't really have a great reason to save the universe as much as he used to in that moment. And the thing that did it is right there in that moment. So they definitely justified it. So we don't necessarily need to even say it was the wrong thing. And I'll give you a twist on the same question. It could go all the way the other way. If Doctor Strange was right, this is the one time, then is them winning at the end of Infinity War 2 Peter Quill's fault?
Oh, yeah. You could have these thought experiments in infinite numbers of ways.
This is my plan. That's kind of if it came back around that way, that'd be
at least
cool.
And then he's like, I did it on purpose.
He comes out in, like, Jesus robes, and he's like, it was me.
It was me.
Yeah.
At least like, Thanos didn't sit on his mixtape volume 2, and that's why he was pissed off. My mom made that from
my Zune.
Well, let us know what you think in the comments down below, and a reminder to subscribe to New Rockstars for all of our Infinity War coverage. Thanks, guys.